Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
We've virtually crossed the length and breadth of the country, and now the championship is all set to wrap up here at what will be the venue for the opening weekend of competition for the British Racing and Sports Car Club in 2026 in real life. Welcome to the final races of the 2026 Clapham North BRSCC Winter eSports Series. And what a place to do it. Rounds 13, 14 and 15 at ultimately what many call the unicorn circuit in the UK for motorsport, because trying to get track time here is quite literally trying to see unicorn in some cases. It is the Branch Hatch Grand Prix circuit. The only very few dates you can race here in real life. Also, by the magic of sim racing, we can race here any day of the week as many times as we want, 24/7 on the Brands Hatch Grand Prix circuit, and it is magnificent. Of course, it's previously been the home of the British Grand Prix of World Sports Cars, and it is the current home of such events as GT World Challenge, usually the final round of the British Touring Car Championship, British GT races here, British Superbikes, and lots more compete on this fabled circuit. Again, only limited days, but of course it's worth it if you can get running on the GP circuit. And that's exactly what our eSports competitors are going to do tonight. So for one final time in this championship, Scott Woodward to guide you through all of the action. Aidan Howard on for us tonight. And let's give you a stat idea of how the championship stacks up going into the final three race 2026 Winter eSports. Matt Kendall, after he took victories once again at Cadwell Park, leads with 890 points over Trafford King on 853. But the big duel will be for third place. Tied on points is Harrison Leach and Jack Ashton, who's currently fastest in the qualifying session, who has around about 3.5 minutes to go. There's no Jeff Richardson or Thomas Merritt on the grid tonight, so they're going to miss the final rounds. But we do have Tom Griffiths and Benji Douglas. Tom could also close the gap to both Harrison Leach and Jack Ashton if he's able to score good results and pick up a few more places on them if they hit trouble. There's no Isaac Doble. He's not here tonight, so he will drop down from 9th. And Will Blackwell Chambers, who I'm sure has been quite busy after running yesterday in his Fun Cup car at the pre-season track day for the Fun Cup Endurance Championship, currently third fastest ahead of his teammate, and he will be P10 in the standings as it sits. Some changes around, particularly from in that top 10, but the big fight is going to be both for the top standings and the points, and that huge fight for third, equal on scores going into these final 3 races. Qualifying has less than 3 minutes to go, and Jack Ashton, who is the reigning Pickford Construction MG Metro Cup champion, that championship will be running alongside the MG Cockshoot Cup on the same grid this year in 2026, leads the way, leading 3 more cars in his wake as he makes his way out through Clark Curve and onto the Brabham Straight towards the fabled Paddock Hill Bend. Current run at the moment is Ashton on provisional pole with 137.754. Chris Etheridge in second quickest, less than a tenth behind. Wall Blackwell Chambers a further 3/4 of a tenth back in third. And then this man, Harrison Leach, second in the points for Owen Mills Racing. He is 4th fastest, ahead of the championship leader by only 7 thousandths of a second. So less than 2 tenths covers the first 5 cars in the standings at the moment. Harrison Leach looking back at his results throughout the year, put together a very consistent campaign. If you look at the races he's finished, he hasn't finished a race lower than 9th. In fact, the only anomaly he had in that season really was that 9th place in the first race at Cadwell. Outside of that, he'd only finished outside the top 6 once. Outside of that, and that was a 87 points. That would have been the fastest lap. So that would have been 8th place plus the fastest lap, and that would have been the second race at Snetterton. So different changes for him. But for Matt Kendall, looking at how his season's played out in terms of victories, he has taken so far in total, with the 2 that he scored at Cadwell Park adding on to the others he scored throughout the year, 6 in total this year. He's very rarely had an off weekend, but he has found himself in a bit of a theme outside of the third race at Donington, where he picked his way through and we had that mad scramble right at the end. He does tend to struggle a little bit for results and picking his way through the pack when it comes to race 3, because Snetterton he only scored a 12th place finish, but he did have some contact further back from what I remember. Alton Park he was further back and couldn't bet a 10th, and he was also 7th. He finished in the third race at Cadwell Park and just didn't progress up the order. He's going to have to work hard from 5th on the grid. He's not the absolute fastest driver in the session, as the timer is about to hit 0 with roughly 30 seconds to go. If you're on a lap, you're allowed to finish one. So anyone that gets across the line and does indeed take the flag will cross the line before the timer hits 0. Flag comes out, you're allowed to finish the lap that you're on. Marcus Hesketh on screen, who has been a race winner this season in the BRSCC livery number 67 machine, and took full advantage of the wet conditions in the final race of the event at Alton Park. Not only go through from pole position, but to lead the race from start to finish and pull out quite a gap, because everyone else behind was battling so hard and spinning off the road, second place downwards. He had such a gap that he couldn't be caught in the end. His tyres went off a little bit towards the final couple of laps, but he got that gap down to about 2.5 seconds. Marcus did come home and take the victory. So qualifying is complete, and here's the grid as we get set for round 13 of the Winter eSports Series, sponsored by Clapham North. Jack Ashton does indeed start from pole position, with Chris Etheridge in the hashtag blessed car alongside him on the front row of the grid, 74 thousandths of a second just behind him in the times. Wall Blackwell Chambers and Harrison Leach come next on the second row of the grid, and then points leader Matt Kendall behind second placed Harrison Leach has work to do from row 3. He starts alongside Tom Griffiths, who's crucially ahead of the 2 drivers he wants to try and catch up to, who are battling for that 3rd spot in the points. Then Benji Douglas and Alex Catlow come next, from Liam Martin Bradley and Marcus Hesketh rounding up the top 10. Trafford King, surprisingly, way down in 11th place, and James Seal starting alongside him on the 6th row. Then it's Thomas Potter and McGregor from Aaron Beattie and Aaron Madhu, so 3 Scottish drivers rounding up the top 16. Then Toby Campbell, Jack Sant, Mitch Marie, Jamie Peters-Ennis back in 20th, and Max Haller, the Fiesta Junior driver, starting back in 21st on the grid. So 11 rows of cars all set to go. 3 drivers just popping in grid positions, and once they're all loaded in, you'll see the lights come on at the top of the screen, which they're about to any second now. Tonight is where we wrap up the eSports Series of 2026, but who's going to walk away with the title? Will it be Kendall or somebody else? We'll find out in a few hours' time as red lights go out and race number 1 gets underway. Clean start from Ashton from the inside front row at pole position. We will hold the line in towards Paddock Hill Bend for the first time. Etheridge has second place, Blackwell Chambers 3rd, and Kendall is already past Griffiths up to 4th. Now dicing with his teammate and with Griffiths on the approach towards Paddock Druid for the first time. Ashton holds his lead. Nice and neat as they come down the hill towards Graham Hill Bend for the first time. Everyone staying relatively single file, although Harrison Leach is right down the bottom. Something's happened to Harrison Leach, and he's second in the points. So Harrison Leach, the man second in innings, has had a drama and is down to the bottom of the field, and is actually already, I think, been towed back to the pits. So whatever's happened to Harrison on the opening couple of corners has seen his chances of trying to deny Matt Kendall of a title take a very significant tailspin. Down the hill towards Hawthorns, first time. There's nothing showing on our replay cameras, according to our producer Aiden, so we can't quite find out the reason why he's in 21st and a lap down. And also the black and orange flag is out for Toby Campbell, I can see on the left-hand side on the timing screen. So what's happened to Toby? Some contact for the number 5. Toby Campbell in the pits with a missing front section. The field makes its way out of Stirling. We're going to replay what happens as the leaders come to the end of lap number 1. So here's what happened to Toby. He is battling away down the back straight, 3 wide on the approach at Pilgrim's Drop. He brakes, and because he had to hit the brakes, the car lost momentum and noses straight into the wall, and that's quite unusual to lose it. It's not often you see cars lose it in a straight line, getting loose on the run towards Hawthorns and Westfield. Intriguingly enough, it was enough to put Toby Campbell off the road and out of contention for the race. Now, Harrison Leach is showing as being in the race, down in 20th and a lap behind, and I can't understand the reason why, which is intriguing. I think he may have missed the start, being told in our ear, so that's the case. He left it a little too late, a couple of seconds too late getting on the grid, so that's the risk. You only get a limited amount of time to sort out setup, sort out your fuel load, to sort out getting everything ready. You really have to be as quick as you can. You have everything ready to go before everything else. That's the case. Leach will have to work his way back through field, and that will certainly be a drop score for him. He's all the way down in 20th and 1 lap down. Leading group already nose to tail, exiting out of Hawthorns in towards Westfield. With Simon Ashton now being put under threat from both Etheridge and Blackwall Chambers. Kendall holding station in 4th. I think he knows that, considering that Leach is quite far out of contention now, this will be a drop score for him, being all the way down the order. In terms of points that he'll score, 20th will get you 62 points. So that will certainly be one of his worst results of the season. He'll gain some back, but I don't think it'll be enough to stop Kendall furthering his advantage by the end of this race. We come out of Clark Curve and through Jack Brabham Straight was the end of lap number 2. 5 alive on the approach towards Paddock Hill Bend. Ashton, Etheridge, Blackwall Chambers, Kendall and Benji Douglas. That's the top 5 as they swing through Paddock. As one in a long train. Up the hill, under the bridge and towards Druids. There's lots of skirmishing going on here. We've got Thomas Potter defending from Traffic King and Marcus Hesketh around the outside. Hesketh's taking the wider approach at Druids, trying to get the inside line on Traffic King. Traffic completes the move and moves to 9th position behind Potter. And then there's also James Seal and Mitch Marie's moved up nicely from towards the back of the grid. He's quite deep down the order and has moved up now to 12th from 19th on the grid, so quite a high mover. Jim Mitch, our Fiesta Junior driver, in 2020 if I remember correctly, for a couple of rounds. And he was certainly enjoying life in the eSports scene once again in BRSCC circles as the field makes its way back down and towards Hawthorns. That huge sand trap on the left-hand side, and again at Westfield is crucial to try and stay away from. And this is Arash Madhu battling with Liam Martin Bradley, one of the Bromley Motorsport cars in the field. And Liam hovering outside the top 10 in 30th. There's Arash Madhu, who has the 787B inspired renowned type livery on that car, distinguishable for many reasons. And we've had issues for James, and that's the damage, huge front end damage to Jamie's car. That will have to be back to the pit lane, and I'm sure we will try and get a replay of that when possible. Sant, who I think was one of the 2 cars that was involved in the incident with Toby Campbell. This is what happened to Jamie Peters Ennis, and he had damage already on the approach towards right hand at the top of the hill at Sheen Curve anyway, and the car was right in the middle of the road trying to keep off the racing line, but unfortunately the natural line is to move out to the outside line. You come off Sheen Curve to then sweep back across to the right, in towards Stirling's, and unfortunately he was just simply I think in the wrong place at the wrong time. Stay out of everyone's way. This is how he got the damage, and this is lap prior to that and was struggling for some reason. He went off the road and was struggling to turn the car. Whatever happened to Jamie, it's quite unfortunate. But we'll go back to our group here that's scrapping a little further back over 15th place. This is McGregor, Sant and Beattie, two of which are Fiesta Junior racers or ex-Fiesta Junior racers. Sant and Beattie. And McGregor in front of them is an occasional Mazda MX-5 racer in the Mark 1s. Usually when one McGregor comes out, they all come out for MX-5s. Typically a family of 3 or 4 of them that will race collectively. And Rob McGregor is upholding family honours here this time, just hovering in the top 15, while Sant and Beattie battle amongst each other. We now go back to our leading group. There's been no change in this group as much. The top 4, there has been a small change because there has just been shuffled back to 4th position. Both of the Clapham North cars have made their way past #Blessed Machine. Etheridge would score his first win of the season in that incredible wide finish in the final race at Donington Park. He led for so long. To get the feeling though that Blackwell Chambers and Kendall are on the prowl here. Both are starting to gang up a little bit towards the back of Jack Ashton's car. The closest Jack Ashton's come to a win is a 2nd place, and that was last time out at Campbell Park. So Jack hasn't won a race in this championship yet. And the operative word is yet, because if he can hold where he is and push back from the suit that both Will Chambers and Kendall are giving right now, there's a genuine chance he could pull off the first victory and scored it from pole. If he can go lights to flag, that'd be even better. The second group of cars behind them, headed by Griffiths up to 4th now, so Etheridge has dropped back to 5th position. Something happened to Etheridge that saw him lose time. Etheridge up to 4th, and then it's now Griffiths up to 4th, excuse me. Then it's Etheridge, Douglas and Catlow in that group behind them. Come out of Sheen Curve, rattle over the curves on the line. And both, Etheridge is still staying on the tail of Kendall, but he is starting to help Etheridge and Catlow just edge a little bit closer. So 6 cars together, turn the way through. I'm also quite confused as to it's not adding up here on the screen, because it says that Etheridge is back in 5th position and it's Griffiths in 4th, but it's not. The timing screen is incorrect because no, it is correct. We've got a lap, there's a lapped car in there, someone that's actually not running in there, and I would think it's Toby Campbell, I think, by the look of it. No, is it Harrison? It's Harrison Leach, in fact. It's Harrison Leach that's in that group. I thought it was Harrison's car, possibly, but Harrison is showing as being lapped down, but he's in that lead group in 18th place. Now, I think he's coming to the pits or something else, but he's in the group. I wonder if he realises that he's not in the mix as well. What he is watching, though, is the change for 2nd place, because Kendall's made his way past Blackwell Chambers inside at Surtees as they go on to the Grand Prix loop. Kendall up to 2nd place. He gets the push from Blackwell Chambers, who in turn gets a push from Harrison Leach, who in turn might get a push from Griffiths on the approach towards Hawthorns. They turn in that long arcing right-hander, big sand trap on the left-hand side, and again they'll be the same on the run towards Westfield. Back the 6 cars together, only 5 of them are for position. I wondered why the white car of Harrison Leach was causing confusion unintentionally. Etheridge going up the inside bravely into Sheen Curve, but gets it on the grass on the exit, but holds his line as he moves back across to defend the place after retaking his 4th position from Griffiths. Runs wide again on the exit of Sterling. Now as they make the approach again towards right-hander at Clearways, it will be Etheridge staying in front. Some cloud cover coming through, so it's a little bit darker as they come back onto the pit straight. Now it's 2 by 2, but intriguingly, Blackwell Chambers has got Leach on his tail, but of course Blackwell Chambers doesn't really need to fight Leach, really, because as he hasn't realised, I presume he has realised that he is a lap down. He's not in this fight for position because he was late to the start. But Harrison is there on the road. He's the 4th car on the road, but then the result is currently sat as 18th. And I wonder if he realises that or not. I'd like to think he does. Hold our breaths for the time being. 2/3 of the race gone. Kendall, now he's been let through by Blackwell Chambers, is now starting to really apply the pressure on Ashton as they come out of Surtees again. This is the run through Pilgrim's Drop. Bridge. 7. The 4 minutes to change. Moves one way then the other, trying to defend the place, trying to shake Hendel off his tail. Worked too well. Still was running wide. It Thorns towards Westfield. We're looking back at Ian Martin, Bradley, and battle that's going on here with looks at Mitch Marie side by side. Behind them is Ned 2. I want to say James Seal or a lapped car. In fact, that might be Toby Campbell. In fact, that's in there too as well. It's not for position behind it. Yeah, Campbell's right there, but he's back a lap down anyway. He's also in front of JP Zedis, who's recovering, and then you've got Arash Madhu, who's behind these 2 lapped cars. So this is the fight going on for 12th and 13th, with Madhu a couple of places back. And despite running wide at the exit of Hawthorn, which I thought might kill his momentum, there's a stayed lead from Kendall and Chambers. This is a little further ahead, which is Trafford King, battling away with Alex Catlow. This is over 7th position. King has just about held his line. Good momentum as the DH Racing driver. Trafford's results, which put him actually second in the points. So, forgive me, it was Harrison Leach was 3rd. It's that fight with Jack Ashton. So, with Harrison Leach, I was getting Trafford King and Harrison Leach mixed up as 2 drivers for some reason. Harrison Leach is 3rd in the points, but he's obviously back down in some 18th, 20th place, whereas Jack Ashton's in the best place he can be to secure 3rd. He's in the lead of the race, ahead of both the Clapham North cars, as Rich Marie and Martin Bradley also changed places. Holding off from it's Catlow. Thomas Potter also is keeping happening in front in 9th place, and the bright green car in the background. Back to our leaders with less than 2.5 minutes to go through Sheen Curve. Ashton, Kendall, Blackmore Chambers, then the lapped car of Harrison Leach, then Etheridge in the second group of cars behind, then Griffiths, then Douglas. That's the top 6. And that's a Sterling's, still nose to tail. 2 minutes plus change for the group as they come out of Clearways, out through Clark McLaren, out through Clark Curve. Onto the Jack Brabham straight once again. Ashton only has to resist the pressure here, but that's easier said than done. The Clapham North cars are in a way working together here, and Kendall, you can see how by the body language of the car, he's pushing hard, and Jack Ashton around wide on the exit at Paddock Hill Bend. That's all the invitation Kendall needs to pull up the inside to go side by side through Druids, and easy as you like. Kendall, the championship leader, just about goes into the lead of the race, almost. Is that with a question mark, because Kendall has to fight it out around the outside. If Ashton retaliates at Graham Hill Bend, he might have the inside line for the next corner at Surtees if he breaks a little bit later. Which he does, but again, Kendall's got confidence. Now we get the grandstand view, perfectly judged and perfectly timed by our producer, of the battle for the lead, side by side. Oh, and there was a little touch there between Ashton and Kendall. I don't think Kendall realised exactly how much Ashton was still far enough alongside him. He's lost his momentum. Because Blackpool Chambers got the toe from his teammate. Ashton drives it right around the outside at Hawthorns and does not give it up 1 millimetre. In towards Westfield they go. Surely not around the outside again this time. He does go for it. Doesn't run wide or kick up the dust. And the pack around them are getting in the mix of it. And the one that's really stuck in there out of position is Harrison Leach, because you can see there, he's now wheel to wheel with Chris Etheridge as they go through Sheen Curve, the right-hander of several right-handers in that sequence. Then left at Sterling's. Etheridge now runs out wide, is under threat from Griffiths. It'll be for Griffiths to take 4th place. Douglas is in there as well in P6, but he's right at the back of this queue. Ashton holds on to 2nd place. Hendel is trying to escape here, and they'll come across the line with just about enough time. Yeah, white flag is out. 1 lap to go. Ashton moving around to try and find the best piece of real estate to make an attack. A retaliation here on Kendall. Could really do with the victory. He had quite a few. The one would certainly not do his chances of the title any harm whatsoever. It's back in 7th. 100 points. Etheridge has the fastest lap of the race. It wouldn't be a bonus point for Kendall. The sun reappears in the overhanging cloud. Into Surtees for the final time. Ashton looking very close, very racy again. Just clips the curb on the inside. It's good momentum. Now the run down Pilgrim's Drop. Hugging rear bumper of Kendall's cars. They laser focus themselves down towards Hawthorns for the final time. And just trying to pull out and distract. Kendall put him offline. Find a faster line through the corner. Kendall was only 5th in qualifying, remember. Ashton was on pole. He'll kick up of dust again. Ashton's close as he ever wants to be here through Westfield. Now looking on the run towards Sheen Curve, looking this way and that, but there's still no avenue through. Matt Kendall is holding on for dear life here, you think. Desperately, but he's doing just about enough to keep Ashton at bay. His rear gunner in Blackwall Chambers can't really do anything because he's got Ashton in front and a lap down Harrison Leach behind him. Jamie Peters has been given the black flag, I can see as well, for reason or not. Out of McLaren and Clark curve for the final time. Ashton will push him all the way to the line. It is going to be way too late. On the sprint to the checkered flag is going to be Matt Kendall with win number 7 of the season, who holds off Ashton by 1.5 in the end of the flag. Kendall victorious in race 1 of the evening at Brands Hatch on the GP circuit. It's in 2nd and Blackwall Chambers 3rd, so both of the Clapham North cars will make the podium. Tom Griffiths does hold on to 4th ahead of Chris Etheridge in 5th and Benji Douglas in P6. Then Traffic King, Alex Catlow, Thomas Potter and Marcus Hesketh in the top 10 to complete those top half finishes. As the field comes streaking through. And Harrison Leach, as we said, was a lap down in that leading group, but down in 18th. So a lot of work to do for him. So I'll quickly run through on my screen. As we're going straight to the grid for race 2. I'll add those up a little bit as we go into the... As we go through the order. So Matt Kendall, of course, took the victory. Ashton was 2nd with 9 as we go through the grid. It shows up. Kendall and Ashton on the front row of the grid. Blackwood Chambers and Tom Griffiths on the 2nd row. His scores 90 points. Here it's finished. Chris Etheridge took the fastest lap of the race. That'll be 93 points for him. Traffic King scored 88 points for finishing in 7th place, and Harrison Leach was way down the order in 18th. So that says to me in terms of points now, Kendall to King has 904. And that result actually was one of Trafford's worst results. Yes, I think it was. So he'll get some points back at least anyway, which is 88. So he doesn't actually get anything back anyway. Right, so we'll go through the rest of the order once racing gets underway. But now race number 2, straight into it as the red lights come on. Race 2 of our season finale of the Winter eSports Series for BRSCC, sponsored by Clapham North, is underway. Kendall picks up exactly where he left off. Race number 1. He'll turn in through Paddock Hill Bend for the first time. The pack gap was through. There was contact behind. That was Benji Douglas and Chris Etheridge. It sends cars scattering. Mitch Marie's involved. A few more cars involved. And I thought it was all calm. More contact. Oh dear. And Chris Etheridge wants to get involved in that. He was one of the main cars that kicked that one off after contact with Benji Douglas. Actually one of the cars to be involved in the last part of that when he was tagged by somebody else. Etheridge, Douglas, Matt Duke, Campbell are involved. I think Mitch Marie's involved. Alex Catlow's involved. Max Haller's involved. Jamie Peters, I think, was involved but got away with it potentially. The rest of the pack are already making their way out onto the GP loop for the first time. I'm sure we'll get a replay of that in some angles at some point. And once that one's finished, we'll have a look at that in a second. So Kendall leads the way in towards Hawthorns, and as I said, it's pretty much exactly how the race ended at the checkered flag in race number 1. This time, the only difference really is that Etheridge is out of the mix, so too is Aaron Beattie, and also Beattie's down in 13th, and there's more shenanigans going on. That was Jack Silent to Marcus Hesketh, and goodness me, I thought the standards were better in race number 1, but something's happened in race 2. Everyone just needs to calm down. And what's that? 8 cars involved at least in some of the incidents. I think Mitch Marie and Alex Catlow involved in there, so that's half the field, which is disappointing, but I'm not a clerk of the course, so we'll move on. So, end of lap number 1. Let's take a look at exactly what happens. The focus here is on Chris Etheridge. He's in the red and white car on the left-hand side, so he turns into Paddock Hill Bend. Douglas is there to try and get up the inside. He bumps the curb. Round both goes Beattie and Etheridge. It's Beattie that gets tagged by, looks like, Alex Catlow. Several cars go missing, and then JP Zennis was the final piece of contact that Etheridge received. He got a hit on the left rear, or the right-hand side of the car, by JP Zennis as he came in and was ultimately an innocent party in that. Didn't really have anywhere to go. 9 cars involved in that, and I have to say, unfortunately, that it was the incident between Etheridge and Edgy Douglas that started that one off. I'm not going to apportion blame, but it was those two that were the catalyst for what happened. As for who's to blame, if anyone, we'll leave that up to the stewards. So top four, this second lap, down the hill towards Pilgrim's Drop, and then down towards Hawthorns. And Ashton's got the run here on the inside, up towards the right-hander, and the MG Metro Cup champion turns in towards Hawthorns and out of it into the lead of the race, with Kendall back to second place and Blackwood Chambers down to third. Now Trafford King is back in fourth, and you've then got Kendall to second place at the moment. So I'm going to try and work this out in real time as we go along. So Kendall at the moment, he stays where he is going to be on 98 points. We can put him on to a total of 1,088. Now if Trafford King stays where he is at the moment, which is sixth, gives him 90 points, although he's on the tail of Thomas Potter, who started well up to fifth, benefiting from the lap one first corner shenanigans. He will score 90 points. That'll put him on 1,033. As it's very close between the two of them, and you don't need to making contact down the pit straight in order to make your point, boys. Down towards Paddock Hill Bend. It's still Potter on the outside line to hold on, and that was Toby Campbell and Marcus Hector getting involved. There was contact further back, and that is Liam Martin Bradley off into the gravel. Not quite sure what's got into them for race number 2, and Liam Martin Bradley. That rejoin was questionable, I think. I'm not quite sure what's got into them in race number 2, but I'd say so far, being perfectly honest, I'm not really impressed, but we'll move on. So Ashton leads from Kendall and Blackwell Chambers. Griffiths in fourth, and King has got up to fifth position. He did pass Thomas Potter as a result of that move down at Paddock Hill Bend. This is what happened at turn 1. So this is Liam Martin Bradley. You see King and Phillips going through. Now there was that traffic in there as they went through. Just Liam Martin Bradley. That angle, it's tough to see exactly if there was contact or not, because he did have two cars right behind him. Just the rejoin was just quite tricky. We'll look at a different angle here if we can. So watch for Liam Martin Bradley. The car's in front of battling. He turns in. We're still trying to avoid the lapped car, and there was contact from behind, and it was from, of all people, I think, Harrison Leach. Got into the back of him, and didn't really help was the rejoin here, and it's close between them. It could have been another incident which he was involved in, really even worse. But Martin Bradley has now continued on in 11th place, just outside the top 10. We're back to our leading group here, and there's this, I'm hearing ums and ahs here from my producer because there's more going on that he can see. And this is possibly what it is. It's the scrap for 7th place going on between James Seal, Harrison Leach and Rob McGregor, but they've got a lapped car of Toby Campbell in front of them, who runs wide onto the gravel and almost gets out of shape, and that allows the door to open for Leach to get through. McGregor arrives on the outside line to try and think about his move as well. Nothing's moving there. Aaron Beattie's not that far away in P10. Behind them in the red and white and black machine. He runs wide on the exit, so everyone's getting a little bit ragged in this second race for reasons I'm not quite sure. Because it's end of term or just end of race, I'm not 100%. Now, for third place, I did just see that. The timing screen, Blackwell Chambers is into P3, or retaking third place, because he has been third for quite a while. It looks like he attacked but couldn't make the move stick, so he's now going to come back into this and find a podium place. Kendall, meanwhile, is right on the rear bumper of Jack Ashton, so where before it was roles reversed, Hunter in race 1 has become the hunted in race number 2 near the end. And remember, Ashton led for most of the way before Kendall found his way through. A couple of mistakes that saw just lose a bit of momentum, and it was all the opportunity that Kendall needed to move through. Through Claren, through Clearways, back through Clark Curve again, and onto the Jack Brabham straight once again. We've got Ashton and Kendall battling. This is a replay we're going to get of what happened to see how Blackwell Chambers was passed for third by Tom Griffiths, and this is the reason why. Ran out wide on the exit at Paddock Hill Bend. Griffiths took full advantage up the inside into Druids. The hairpin, the move was his. But the repass happened a few corners later on the approach down towards Hawthorns Bend, so didn't stay behind him for too long. Here is that straight back. They've repassed each other again. So whilst that was happening, Blackwell Chambers has lost the place once more. But in fact, that's the replay that happened moments later. So that's actually how Blackwell Chambers re-got the place on Griffiths. 3 went, and into 3rd place once again went the former 2-time X5 Super Cup Pro Class champion. It's the same spot a lap later. And a bit of a break up here. We've now decided to pair off in these fights for the lead in the 3rd place. It's of Hawthorn back towards Westfield. Back is a little more spread-eagled here. Rafa King is quite far back in 5th position. He's on 92 points. That essentially means that, the reference here, if Kendall was to stay where he is and score 98 points and didn't take part in the final race, and let's say that Traffic King did in fact get himself win in the fastest lap as a result, it wouldn't be enough. So as it stays as it is right now, I make it on live points that if it stays literally as it is, even if Kendall didn't do the final race and Trafford got maximum points, which is 100 plus the point for fastest lap, Kendall would still wrap up the eSports title in this 2nd race, I feel. We've still got less than half the race to go, so we can't quite count our chickens yet. But till we get to the flag, and we can provisionally run in that as well. And Ash has done it again. He did that in race 1, which saw Kendall take advantage, but he was wise to what Kendall would have done that time. He went straight to the inside line because he knew what happened in race 1. He ran wide, didn't get to the inside quick enough to defend it, hold the line. This time he was much quicker to sweep across to deny Kendall from getting through. There is James Seal running in a comfortable 9th place. And there's Liam Martin Bradley in the group as well. This is what happened to James. He was battling away with, I think, Aaron Beattie, this looks like, down towards Paddock Hill Bend. And James just understeers himself wide at Paddock through the gravel he goes. There's another place to Rob McGregor and another on-track position to Toby Campbell. In sympathy, Marcus Hesketh went off the road as well and rejoined in front of a bemused couple of cars that were around him. He was taking the wider outside line to stay out of everyone's way. But James is now into 9th position. And the next car's try and catch if he can. It's Rob McGregor, who is the black car just ahead of the lap Toby Campbell. With a gap of just over 3 seconds between the two of them as they come out of Westfield. We're just over further the race still to go. Hesketh now back in 18th after he was one of the drivers caught up in the corner incident. He's now battling with Jamie Peter-Zenis in a battle of a few cars that are a lap down. And they've both been lapped by Mitch Marie. So Mitch is down to 11th, but he runs wide on the exit. But he won't lose positions in the result if he lets these two by. Marcus has been quite consistent in the 2nd half of the season. Took that victory in the reverse grid race at Alton Park in the wet. I've heard musings that it's going to be wet for the final race, but we'll wait and see how the weather conditions change. Mitch Marie is a lapped car as well, so he's quite in the mix as well. This is going to be quite intriguing to see how Hesketh gets up the inside of Jamie Peter-Zenis. Has the inside line for Druids. Gets boxed in by the lapped car in front. And really, Peter-Zenis has the inside line again. It's the move on Hesketh into Graham Hill Bend before he goes to retain 17th place. Cersei's they'll go again, and that's Peter-Zenis' turn to try and work his way past the back marker here. Any car I think is in that livery is Mitch Marie, and Mitch is up in 11th, so this is more like cars in 17th and 18th chasing a car for 11th are lapping themselves at this point. Yellow flag out for Rob McGregor, reasons we don't know quite why yet, but something's happened to Rob into our give me a slowdown penalty, good reminder by our producer. Come out of Sheen Curve, and all for track limits, so he would have been extending a little bit too much. With our leaders, just over 3 minutes to go in this 2nd race of the evening at Brands Hatch on the full Grand Prix circuit. And Ashton knows that Kendall, if he gets a good run through Paddock Hill Bend, will set him up for that pass in towards Druids if he gets the opportune time. We're out of 180-degree hairpin, now back on board with Blackwood Chambers. Riding with him as we come out of Graham Hill Bend. Up through the gears. Just maxing out in 3rd gear. That's a 2nd. Just roll the car in as you climb up the hill, out on corner exit, over Pilgrim's Drop. from the bridge and down towards Hawthorns. 2.5 minutes coming up on the clock left to go. Fifth in that 4th place. Trafford King is very distant back in 5th position. Looks as though unless something happens to Kendall, touch wood, that would be key, and it almost did, because Kendall, well, Ashton was a little loose on the exit of Hawthorns in towards Westfield. He tried again. And hit the brakes once more with the curbs. Griffiths also pushing hard as they come back into left-hander at Sterling. He's not losing too much ground to the cars around him. On the power again. And now the run down towards our curve. All them together. And make it, we're going to get 2 more laps here in this on the Grand Prix circuit, with about 1 minute and 45 left on the clock. Just the line they go to end another lap and to start a fresh one. Again, under brakes, all closing up once more. Now, what's the line going to be like for Ashton this time? Takes the wider line. It's okay. It's not even going wide enough to warrant Kendall to make an attack, but he is right there on the rear bumper of the purple and silver machine. Through Graham Hill Bend. And we're just sensing that there's a chance of wrapping this up in this second race provisionally. Shows that Ashton is probably going to want that first victory even more than Kendall wants to wrap this title up in this situation. In back, we're seeing James Seal and Mitch Marie are moving with each other. Position. And Martin Bradley, in fact, has moved past James Seal in towards the 9th position. Get back to our leaders. Ashton looking for that first victory of the season. Kendall looking to get to the flag and secure the goods to wrap up the eSports title. Chambers there in hot pursuit, but also in support. His teammate Tom Griffiths, I think, is just happy to be there in 4th position, but in that top 5 scramble for places in the season. Towards Clark Curve again. Just like the previous race, they are going to get across the line with about roughly 5 or 10 seconds left to go. Nicely timed as the white flag comes out. And now on the run towards Paddock Hill Bend, Kendall's attacking. Now, does he want to take the title with a victory? Is he going to settle back for 2nd place? Well, I would say Ryan is a racing driver, so of course they're going to try and do it. They're all racing drivers in this field, which of course do have Mazda MX-5 experience, being Blackwood, Chambers and Griffiths. They've all raced in competitive championships. Particularly, of course, with Kendall, who's been a regular in the BMW Super Cup in the Compact Cup class, or before it was just called the BMW Compact Cup. Ashton, as we know, has been a champion last year, most recently, in the MG Metro Cup. There's some good calibre club racing drivers in this championship. The 4 of them make their way out onto the GP loop for the final time. Ashton from Kendall, from Blackwell, Chambers, from Griffiths. That's the top 4. And Pilgrim's drop for the final time. Does Kendall have anything in the mix? He just ekes out a tiny bit, puts himself into Ashton's mirrors, lets him know he's still there. Letting him go quickly. And a turn in once more. 4 of them, nose to tail. Up, climbing again towards Sheen Curve. And really, 2 corners to go. Unless Kendall gets a good run out of Clark Curve onto the straight towards the flag. It was close in the first race. I think Ashton might have just about enough here to hold off the advance of the 3 cars behind. They come underneath the bridge. Kendall's on the attack. He looks to the outside. Will look for the up and under if he can. Ashton leaves the door open, which he doesn't. There's not going to be enough room. Kendall will drag race him onto runs to the line. Checking flags in sight. It's side by side at the flag. Ashton or Kendall, who's it going to be at the line? It's going to be Ashton who takes his first victory of the season in the penultimate race of the year. Kendall takes 2nd place by 34 thousandths of a second, but it doesn't matter because on my calculation at least, 2nd place is going to be enough with Trafford King in 5th, who provisionally give Matt Kendall the 2026 BRSCC Clapham North Winter eSports Series title. So if that is the case, congratulations to Matt for securing it. And on that result, if I just reiterate when I was calculating earlier on, even if he doesn't do this final race, and if Trafford was to win the next race, which is the final race of the year, and score the fastest lap, the points that Kendall would gain back would mean he would still win the title on drop scores by 40 points. It would be 1,176 on the calculation I have compared to 1,136 for Traffic King. That would make all the difference. Last couple of finishes coming across the line, then we'll be able to view the result and get ourselves prepared for our very final race of the 2026 season in this Clapham North BRSCC Winter eSports Series before the real world season begins all over again. Last couple of the drivers just coming through to take the flag. Oh, Chris Etheridge to come through. He's coming up to the line now. As he does, we will get the results on screen. Once that comes through, we will be able to go through. There it is. He crossed the line, which means we should be getting the results on screen in a second. And there it is. Jack Ashton then takes the victory in race number 2, the penultimate race of the season, his first of the season. He'll be delighted with that after getting a second at Cowell Park, coming oh so close in that first race a few moments ago. Kendall, with second place provisionally on our calculations, has done enough now to wrap up the 2026 BRSCC Up and North into eSports Series title, so congratulations to him once again. Tom Griffiths was third from Blackwood Chambers in fourth, and Traffic King, who misses out on the top spot, should be content with a strong second place in the points and look to try and cement that in the final race. Then it's Thomas Potter and Harrison Leach from Rob McGregor, Liam Martin Bradley and James Seal complete the top 10. Mitch Marie was 11th, Alex Catlow was 12th, Chris Etheridge was 13th. We had quite a few casualties from what happened on those first couple of laps and the early stages of the race. People like Aaron Beattie, Nicky Douglas, Reed Campbell, Marcus Hesketh and Arash Madhu. And the last three cars that were on the timing screen from 20th and 21st downwards was Jamie Peters-Ennis, Jack Sant and Max Horler. So those drivers were particularly the first two drivers that had big contact that saw them out of the race, or the race had barely even started for them. So as you can see in the background, for the final race of the season, quite conveniently, the weather has changed somewhat because it is not dry and sunny and bright. It was overcast in race 1, but now the rain has arrived, and this should make it very interesting indeed. The temperature is still 19 degrees, but it's now 94% precipitation, and the winds are up, almost 30 kilometre winds out there as well, which means it's going to be a challenge for the drivers to tackle one of the toughest circuits in the UK, the Brands Hatch Grand Prix circuit. And the circuit itself is going to be perfect backdrop to the final race of the season. Should remind those who are wanting to follow the BRSC season first year. The two events in fact are happening on the same weekend to kick off the season. We've got the event here hatch on the 2020 PBS Brakes Brands Hatch opener. Come along in Kent. If you want to come along in Kent, you can do so. And the concluding race of the year, it's quite a bit of endurance special in a way, because you've got both the XC1 Endurance Series and the PBS Brake Supersport Endurance Cup. There is the newly kind of generated and amalgamated Racing Line Volkswagen Audi Racing Championship, which incorporates the Ricci Concept Classic VW Cup and the Audi TT Cup. We also have the opening rounds of the Vinyl Detail Fiesta ST150 Challenge and the Fixed Wheel Production Cup, along with the Silver Lake DS3 Cup, which is going to be competing in the Fixed Wheel Production Cup grid as well. And also we'll have the opening rounds of the Nankang Thai City Car Cup Championship, the Nankang Thai BMW Super Cup Championship, and to also give you an extra treat, there was also the added element of Formula Fords with the opening Jeff Page Engineering Super Classic Pre-99 Formula Ford Championship racing in that weekend as well. If you're more north-based and want something that's still going to give you your BRSCC Club racing fix, go opening reason for the Northwestern Centre be at Alton Park in Cheshire on the Saturday, pardon me. And that will see, if I load up the calendar, Uncup Championships. So all three of the BRSCCs, well, no, a significant chance certainly being the case as well. So you've got the Fun Cup Endurance Championship. First round that will be live streamed. All the rounds of Fun Cup Championship can be live streamed, which you'll also be able to catch on stream as well. The opening rounds of the MG Cockshoot Cup and Hickford Construction MG Metro Cup on the same grid combined. You'll also have the first rounds of the Modified Ford Series, always a glorious looking grid wherever it goes, and also for the first race as a championship, the new Classic Mini Racing Championship, which ran 2 pilot races last year, one here at Brands Hatch, and before that, the other one, no, the first one was Brands Hatch, and the second one was on the Silverstone National Circuit. And there's some really good momentum forming for this new championship in the Classic Minis. A bit more of a historic flavour for BRSCC to go into. And with Classic Minis, it's got a really enthusiastic paddock, really enthusiastic group of people that are forming in that championship already. And it should be quite an excellent occasion for all those involved that are going to be competing. So if you want more information, those events are taking place on the weekend of 11th and 12th of April. Alton Park is Saturday only, the 11th of April. Brands Hatch is taking place on the 11th and 12th of April. So if you're going to be around on both, be sure to tune in to the live stream that will be there for Alton Park at least. I'm not aware of a live stream for Brands Hatch. If you want more information, head to the website brscc.co.uk for both events and get in touch with BRSCC if you want more info potentially on which events may and may well be live streamed. So, for the final race of the season in the Clapham North BRSCC Winter eSports Series, of course, the top 10 are reversed on the result of race 2. And that means James Seal is on pole position from Liam Martin Bradley on the front row of the grid. Then Rob McGregor and Harrison Leach, Thomas Potter and Trafford King. Then Will Blackwell Chambers and Tom Griffiths. And then provisionally the new eSports champion Matt Kendall starts back in 9th alongside the first-time winner in the series, Jack Ashton, starting back in P10. It's Mitch Marie and Alex Catlow on the 6th row of the grid, moving down from 7th onwards, which is Chris Etheridge and Aaron Beattie, then Benji Douglas, Toby Campbell, and the rest of the field. We lined up for the final 15 minutes of action. So in the pouring rain, the lights are out, the lights are on the cars as they head down towards Paddock Hill Bend for the first time, and from pole position, James Seal will hold the line and the lead in towards turn 1, but they slip and slide their way through. There's a few back ends twitching, they splash their way through the standing water at the bottom of the hill. Seal gets a tap in the tail from somebody. So Harrison Leach in the back of his back there. 2 cars off the road already. That's Madu and Sant have made contact on the approach towards Paddock Hill Bend, or in Paddock Hill Bend in the gravel. As the pack goes streaming through, no pun intended. Seal from Leach from Potter in 3rd place. Liam Martin Bradley in 4th. Some wiggling around going on midfield. Ooh, it's 4 or 5 abreast. Careful in the approach towards 30. That surely can't work. Something has to give, but it does. And it does, I'm afraid. I saw that coming, unfortunately, because 4 or 5 abreast was absolutely no chance in hell going to work. Trafford King's off the road, and he got turned in by Rob McGregor. Also off the road, I think, is Harrison Leach, which he isn't. He might be Aaron Beattie, in fact, or someone, in fact, that was involved in that too. And Liam Martin Bradley, Trafford King, and Rob McGregor were the 3 main proponents of that incident. It's lap number 1 in the wet. Do not go 4 or 5 wide in towards Surtees Bend. That's simply not going to work. Going towards Westfield. Opening lap here. Blackwell Chambers gets a little slide on. Catches some of the standing water. Now he's under threat from his teammate, the new champion, provisionally. Kendall. Seal pressuring Leach on the approach towards Sterling's. Potter's up to 2nd place as Seal tries to find traction. Potter drives it straight around the outside and takes 2nd place and holds the position as Harrison Leach is off on the grass on the exit of Sterling's. Tries to rejoin, keeps his foot in gingerly and doesn't lose too much time. And they turn the way through. Mitch Marie's up to 5th position. It's an incredible start for Mitch. He's turned his way all the way through the field, picked his way past the order, and this final race of the season, this might well be an end of turn field, it looks like, because they're all piling down towards Paddock Hill Bend at the end of lap number 1. And Potter takes the lead, in fact. So Thomas Potter, quite the youngster, only 15, 16 years old, in the wet conditions in the Mazda MX-5, in the lead here in the final race of the season on lap number 2. It's 3 abreast for 3rd. Marigo's diving down the outside to try and make that move stick on both Seal and Blackwell Chambers. Those 2, in fact, are going wheel to wheel for 3rd place. Seal holds his line. Again, the outside line in these wet conditions is the stronger line to take because there's no rubber on the line. Mitch Marie tries to make it 3 abreast. We've been here before. And Ashton tries to make it 4 again. Don't commit the same mistake as they did on lap number 1. It's going to be very close indeed. And Blackwell Chambers drives around the outside of all of them on the outside line. And will take the place just about. Yes, with a question mark because Mitch Marie's gone with them. Still trying to make it 3 abreast. It's the last race of the season, but calm down, guys. It's 3 abreast again. And still wisely backs out of it. Mitch Murray goes sailing around the outside of the double MX5 Super Cup Pro Class champion in the wet and takes 4th place around the outside at Hawthorns. That's really impressive stuff from Mitch. Great move on Will Blackwell Chambers. Here comes Ashton. He's sideways over the curve. He almost loses it. Kendall, the new champion, meanwhile, he's back in 11th place. He's dropped back down the order. And there's more shenanigans going on. 2 cars up onto the grass. One is Ashton, one I think is also Seal. They're all over each other here in this mix. It's Catlow's up to 5th. Hesketh is up to 7th place with a slowdown penalty. Remember, he was the one that was the hero winning the race in conditions identical to this at Alton Park in a couple of rounds ago. Blackwell Chambers is attacking Marie again for 3rd place. Everywhere you look on this opening couple of laps, at least on this lap, there is somebody fighting with someone. Potter leads the way. Leach in 2nd place now. Smith Marie and Will Blackwell Chambers. This is further back now between Jack Sant and Arash Madhu. See what happened. Sant tried to squeeze through the gap that was apparently there initially between Zenis and Madhu. I would disagree with that, and there's the end result because 2 cars got locked together and off into the road. As my producer rightfully said, 2 to 1 just doesn't go sometimes. Looking back at our leaders, there's a wide moment there for, I want to say, that's Rob McGregor in fact, who's a lap down, trying to stay out of the way. He was loose on the exit of Graham Hill. Ben stays right out of the way over onto the grass on the outside line as Potter leads the way from Leach and Marie. It's a top 3 I think I was expecting. Strange things have happened in eSports racing, they usually do. This group of cars has got Catlow, Seal, Ashton, Hesketh in there as well. Ashton recovering after his slide a couple of laps ago. Seal puts 2 wheels onto the grass, all the wheels onto the grass. Hesketh moves out to take 7th place, which he does. Marcus Hesketh into 7th position. The BRSCC in a yellow sponsored car. Through Sheen Curve. Oh, and there was a touch there between. That was both Seal and Hesketh, and off of the road goes there as Potter's dropped from what was the lead down to 4th position. He's run off the road. So it's now Harrison Leach into the lead. Marie's into 2nd place now. It is Blackwell Chambers 3rd, Potter 4th, and you've got there as well a couple of cars that are trying to make their way around some of their lapped cars in the field here. It's actually Arash Madhu who's come out of the pit lane. These are the leaders on the approach towards Paddock Hill Bend again. Leach from Marie, who's closing in on Harrison down here. And here comes Thomas Potter with a huge dive up the inside of both Blackwell Chambers and Mitch Marie. Surely not 2 in 1, but that's one of the best we've not seen for a long, long time. Thomas Potter, I'd take my hat off to you if I had one. That was sensational. Down the inside of 2 cars on the lesser grippier side of the road into Paddock Hill Bend. Somehow, Mitch Marie and Blackwell Chambers were so busy fighting each other. Thomas Potter saw the opportunity, got 2 into 1 at the first corner at Paddock Hill Bend, no less. See you later, boys. It hasn't quite worked because here comes Mitch Marie up the inside. One of the youngest drivers in the field. Battling hard in towards 30's corner, but Thomas Potter drives it back around the outside again. Tell you what, he might be 15 years old, but can this boy drive an eSports car? Goodness me. Thomas Potter, wheel to wheel down Marie. Mitch Blackwell Chambers watches on in bemusement. Also closing in now both Jack Ashton and Alex Catlow. Into Hawthorns. Marie again drives it back around the outside. These two love the outside line, and Marie does sweep across and take 2nd place from Potter. He gives Potter a taste of his own medicine. And then Mitch Marie will try and lead the pack down the hill out of Westfield and up the hill again towards Sheen Curve. We've got Potter in 3rd place, Blackwell Chambers in 4th, Ashton in 5th, Catlow in 6th, and Blackwell Chambers taking advantage of Potter running wide over the grass. This also gives Ashton a chance to go also around the outside. Catlow will get the undercut if he can here, if he can get past Potter. That's put Thomas back down to 5th. Someone else is off the road. I think James Seal, who was running off the road in the background. It was. Saw him lose a place to Marcus Hesketh. He's now dropped down to 11th. Or Thomas Potter's with a spin. Catlow just avoided that one, but Thomas Potter was the one that lost out. So after a brilliant start to the lap, it hasn't quite ended well enough for Potter. It's all been action stations in a matter of moments for Thomas. We'll see exactly how that played out. So the approach towards, we'll start as far back as we are from Westfield. This is how it all kind of kicked off. So we see Harrison Leach pulling away. There's Marie in 2nd place. So just gets loose on the exit and just gets almost dragged onto the grass as a result of running wide. Blackwell Chambers goes through, Ashton goes through, then Catlows the car around him along to his left. Now on the approach under the bridge towards McLaren and Clark curves. Silver goes off in the background, but we're watching Thomas Potter. Did he jump or was he pushed? The answer is he was pushed ever so slightly because Catlows snuck up the inside into Clark corner. I think Potter slightly unawares as he went to go and turn in, had to turn out of it, and that sudden jab of the steering was what lost him the position. He's dropped back to battling for 10th now with the recovering James Seal. While Mitch Marie is also battling with Jack Ashton. He's taken the outside line this time. He fancies to go, taking the high, wide and handsome run through Hawthorns into Westfield. And Ashton does make the move stick. Completes it with another outside line move at Westfield. And now down up the hill once again. Now Harrison Leach has got Blackwell Chambers closing in on him quite quickly. Only 3.5 tenths behind. They're both coming up behind a lapped car as well. Looks like the Bromley Motorsport car of Liam Martin Bradley by the look of it, because he is not lapped, but he's about to be lapped. The leaders go past him. Very swiftly moves out of the way. It's good driving from Liam to keep out of the way being lapped behind. It's smart stuff, well done. And now the leaders now under real pressure here, because this is now Harrison Leach. The up and under from Blackwell Chambers looked to the outside initially onto the Jack Brabham straight, quickly dipped to the inside. With now a run to Paddock Hill Bend under brakes, Blackwell Chambers takes the lead here at the final race of the season in the wet conditions. And splashing his way through the standing water, now back up towards Woods under brakes. He tries to retaliate. Blackwell Chambers almost looked like he was about to drive him deep into the corner to prevent him from taking the result. Now our new provisional champion, Matt Kendall, meanwhile, we'll keep watching this, but I'm just making note of the fact that Matt Kendall is back in 7th. This mimics his fortunes in other reverse grid races, apart from Brands Hatch, where he never really gets to pull his way through the order, and where he seems to be where he starts roughly is typically where he finishes, or not too far away from that. So Kendall is about 3 or 4 tenths off getting past Griffiths if he can. The black and orange flag goes out to Aaron Beattie, who's now in the pit lane and was 13th. His teammates, Blackwell Chambers, is holding nicely. Mitch Marie is 4th still. Atlow 5th, Griffiths 6th, then Kendall back in 7th. Followed by Douglas, Hesketh and Seal. That's the top 10. It's the final 5 minutes of the season and of the race. Ashton right on the rear bumper of Harrison Leach. He got good momentum in the wet through curve. Couldn't quite make a move stick because he wasn't a chance to get through at any point. And down the hill. The bridge. Chambers trying to pull away here. Just looking for that outside line. I love the outside line in the wet conditions, which can give you a lot more grip. And Leach will give as good as he gets. He's going to be wheel to wheel once again. Not going to be quite the same up and under that Blackwell Chambers gave him, but Ashton will still as good as he gets, and you can't normally pass around the outside line. I've seen Joe Foster do it in a Formula 4 a couple of years ago. I think he's going to do exactly the same. He takes the high, wide and handsome line, in my best Brian Jones impression, and up towards Druids again, wheel to wheel, still on the outside line, still side by side, and now moving into 2nd place. There's Jack Ashton. That was all started by a really good run, ironically outside Clark curve. Well, McLaren then Clark curve, then outside at Paddock Hill Bend, and then outside at Druids to hold on. Took the inside line to hold the place and complete the move down towards the left-hander at Graham Hill Bend. Thomas Potter, who is recovering after his spin, after a little bit of light contact, and right behind him there was that was lapped car. I think that was Rob McGregor. Because in fact he is Rob McGregor, because that's the black Bromley Motorsport car. I recognise the livery on the side. Potter now trying to get himself into the top 10. James Seal's expense. They go side by side. All's level on the approach down Pilgrim's Drop, and a good drag race down towards right-hander at Hawthorn. Wheel to wheel. And Seal will try and hold on. Gives him a tiny bit of a squeeze. And again, Potter taking full advantage. Now, the outside line does give you more grip anyway, because there's not rubber on there too, so you can drive it around the outside. It's called the wet line, or in some cases the karting line, because you go off the racing line to ironically find more grip, because in the dry, as you don't know, all the rubber gets laid down the racing line. That's where you want to be, because it's its stickiest. If you then add, of course, water to rubber, it becomes very, very slippery. So if you come off the racing line where there's no rubber, more grips, therefore you can drive back around. And James Seal proving my point absolutely front and centre. That was another big move down the outside of Sterling's corner. So they're finding outside moves at practically every single corner on the Grand Prix loop here. Seal runs a little wide, a little sideways line. Potter then powering his way alongside here. Now he can't have an outside line here because he's boxed in between the grass to his right. James Seal right to his left trying to defend the place. Under brakes into Paddock Hill Bend, but once again Seal drives it right around the outside, takes a very wide line and loses the back end and ends up in the standing water at the bottom of the hill, and Rob McGregor spinning off in sympathy as a result of that. Probably looking in his rearview mirror, saw that Seal was going around, used too much power on the exit, and round he went as well. He continues. There goes Jamie Peters-Ennis, who is a lap down but back in 16th place. And the replay here shows what happened. So James Seal again taking the outside line. Despite me saying that the outside line has more grip, just went a little too hot, lost the back end. And you see there, Rob McGregor just trying to avoid James, and he lost it and spun off as a result of getting distracted by Seal's mistake, and that puts him down a couple more spots to 12th place. Now, but a change for the lead again, because Jack Ashton, with a couple of laps to go now, is in the front to take his second victory of the season. If he can hold on, but doing that on the exit of Sheen Curve won't help him. To Sterling's, they're going to come on to the last lap of the season in a few moments' time. It's up to Blackwell Chambers if he can try and steal a victory from Ashton, or whether or not it will be Ashton's second of the night and of the season, or if we'll get 3 different winners from the final 3 races of 2026. Out through Clark Curve, white flag in the air, 1 more lap to go. And towards Paddock Hill Bend, Blackwell Chambers hovering around, looking to the inside line. Conventional place to pass on the wet. He's going to try it. It's a tiny slide on. Ashton takes a slightly better line, not as wide as he has been before. The brakes and turns their way out through. It's now down the hill again towards Graham Hill Bend. Ashton trying to give as good as he gets. Looking good so far. Roughly just over half a lap to go to come towards 30s that will turn back onto the GP loop. Behind, we've got Harrison Leach under threat from Mitch Marie. That could be a change for third if Harrison doesn't bend well enough and Mitch plays his cards right. Out on the hill, Blackwell Chambers in the tow. A little brighter out there, but the rain's still falling. And here comes Blackwell Chambers looking to the inside. Now we know the grips on the outside line can be much stronger. Ashton tries to prove it with an outside move, but Blackwell Chambers stands his ground. There's almost contact, but Blackwell Chambers has to back out of it at the last minute before they get turned in towards Westfield. No chance to get through there, but he's on the rear bump. He's sliding around. He's very sideways on the exit, putting 2 wheels on the curb. Blackwell Chambers, with all the car control skill that he has, hold on to that one, and thankfully he did. Ashton also getting loose on the apex of Sheen Curve. They both hit the curb. 2 corners to go. Ashton can either hold on here, or Blackwell Chambers will have to try and make some kind of a move to go diving down the outside or get a good run off the turn at Clark Corner to out-drag Ashton on the sprint to the line. He looks to the inside, thinks about it, almost distracts Ashton. Won't get close enough, I don't think. He'll get as close as he can. Maybe not alongside, but the checkered flag is out. For the second time tonight and this season, and to the round off the year, it is going to be Jack Ashton who takes the final race victory of the season in the Clapham North BRSCC Winter eSports Series of 2026. Across the line to absolutely confirm it, provisionally at least. Matt Kendall comes across in 7th place, and it will be, with Trafford King back in 13th, more than enough to provisionally claim him 2026 BRSCC Clapham North Winter eSports Series champion. Didn't need to be that high up. 7th place was all he needed. In fact, he didn't even need to do this race. He was pretty much wrapped up, and that even happened. So, and takes the final race victory of the season. Blackwell Chambers was second, right at the end, by less than a tenth and a half. And Harrison Leach with a very strong 3rd place to round off a season where he came into the weekend in 3rd best. And it is 4th for Mitch Marie, one of the standout drives of the night and of the event for Mitch Marie, up to 4th position. Alex Catlow takes 5th. Marcus Hesketh up to P6 through all that as well. So another impressive run. Trafford King realises he can't do any better than 2nd place now, so just simply drifting his way, quite literally, through Sterling's. He'll come to the line, pick up a lone 13th place, and he's enjoying himself. He's not too fussed about the result now. He just wants to get home and just hit the flag and wrap off the season. And other results, Alex Catlow was 5th, as we said. Hesketh 6th, Kendall the new champion 7th, and Benji Douglas, Tom Griffiths and Thomas Potter, after his great passing moves, runs off the top 10. And after the rain that we had in that last race, the sun has poked through and the circuit is drying up pretty quickly. Perfect way to wrap things up, nonetheless. So Jack Ashton with the final race of the season. It really is like buses. You wait for 2 and 1 and 2 come along at once when it comes to victories. Ashton wins, Blackwell Chambers in 2nd place, Harrison Leach in 3rd, and Mitch Marie with an excellent 4th place. He started just outside the top 10. For Alex Catlow, 6th for Marcus Hesketh, 7th for the new champion Kendall, 8th for Benji Douglas, 9th for Tom Griffiths, and 10th for Thomas Potter. While Toby Campbell, James Seal, Trafford King back in 13th place, Liam Martin Bradley, Arash Madhu, Rob McGregor, Jamie Peterson Dennis, and Aaron Beattie. We saw Tris Etheridge, Max Haller, and Jack Sant round out the 21 cars that were in the field tonight, which did not make the flag. So, that concludes racing action for our Winter Esports Series run. We've only got one person in the interview area, but it's guess the one that's, aside from the new champion, the most important one of the night, given he has won 2 races. So we'll see if we can quickly drag him in, at least have a chat to him at least, see how he felt about it. And to reiterate something I've just said on stream, Jack Ashton, I'll say congratulations. And the simple thing is, the phrase goes, you wait for a victory and 2 come along at once. And that was races where both the wet and the dry, by all means, you had to work for that pretty hard in both sets of conditions, because particularly race number 3, you were up and down the top 5 like a yo-yo.
Yeah, I mean, I was looking forward to Brands, especially Brands GP. It's somewhere I really gel with, and I think I said that previous round I was really looking forward to it. So coming here today, I was full of confidence and full of focus, and yeah, did everything that I needed to do. I'd say that was a pretty successful evening.
That's to say the least. And one thing that was quite clear is that in the wet or the dry, you do quite like an outside pass, don't you? Because you did that several times tonight at several corners. Almost every single corner that was out there, you were going down the outside of somebody. Is that just confidence in the car setup, or particularly in the wet, the conditions, knowing that the wet line is stronger? What was it about passing down the outside that just seemed to be so strong for you tonight?
It's just recognising the certain areas that you could use the outside, especially in the rain. Obviously in the dry wasn't really much of an option, but in the rain there's certain corners that would allow it really well, and it's understanding where that was. I mean, I've done some wet practice before today, and it was a lot worse conditions, and it's a lot harder to run, and you have to run a lot more of a wider line in most places. But tonight there was only a couple of corners that it really worked. Just understanding where that was and making it work for you, and yeah, picking the right moment to go around the outside. And yeah, I think that sort of last lap battle with Will at the end there as well, I chose the outside line when he got the run on me on the back straight, and I think it paid off quite well, sitting there in that decision. But yeah, it's just knowing when to do it at the right time and making sure the conditions in the car can cope with it, that's all.
He got very loose on the exit of Westfield on that last lap. He got very sideways but managed to hold on to it. And this kind of wraps off a season where we need to look at the final points calculations, but given your throughout the season, you've very rarely had what we call an off evening. I think the worst result you've probably had all season was, if you take the exception of what happened in race 3 at Donington Park, the worst result you've had all season really is about 11th or 12th. You spent most of the season running in mostly around the top 5 or top 6. So this is probably your first proper crack at this series in rear-wheel drive cars like the MX-5s. You've also been quite a strong eSports racer before you did this as well. I've seen you do quite plenty of eSports stuff in the past in iRacing. But to come alongside this group of drivers of which you may be familiar with name-wise, given that you've been in the same BRSCC paddocks to them for quite a while, to go up against them in this whole series, both in wet and dry conditions, in evenly matched cars like this, and to see competition all the way through so close, how impressed have you been by just how good this season has been in terms of the quality of the driving has been, when the driving standards have been okay and people haven't been kind of being a bit more over enthusiastic at times, shall we say?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I was open-minded coming into it. I just wanted to enjoy a series, because I've not really done a proper league or series for a long while now, so I just really wanted to get into it and enjoy it. And I did the first round and I was well into it. I loved it. The drivers around me were pretty good as well, 99% of the time, so which is pretty rare in the MX-5s really. It can get quite argy-bargy quite quickly, but I think everyone was quite well behaved throughout the season, and that showed in my results. And I think, yeah, before the season started, I said to myself that, knowing the competition going into it, I was kind of said to myself, can just sort of bag some top 5s here and there and keep them consistent finishes, and hopefully come to the end of the season it should look good for me. And I think, yeah, it's sort of done that throughout the season. There's a few off rounds, but yeah, as you say, most likely in that sort of top area of the grid, it kind of give me the points where I needed to be now. So yeah, I'm not sure how it's going to end up. Obviously the calculations are probably going on right now in the background, but yeah, I think it's going to be pretty close between me and Trafford for second, but I'm pretty sure I've got third in the bag, so we'll see.
Yeah, you definitely had quite a lot of results compared to those that were around you battling for third place in the championship, I think, as well, particularly with Harrison, given the fact that he was having his own issues, particularly in race 1, where he might have missed the start because of that, didn't get the results he needed to. But either way, it's a really strong end to what's been a very strong season for you. We'll quickly touch on the fact, of course, the new season comes up just over a month's time. Any thoughts? I presume you're back in MG Metro once again to try and defend your title, or have you got more ambitions for something else this year?
Yeah, back in the Metros is just what I know, what I do, what I enjoy. I'd love to go elsewhere, but just money side of things just puts a stop to that. So just sort of enjoying what I have and yeah, having some fun out on racetracks, and that's exactly what I'll be doing this year.
Of course, you have some extra fun given the fact you're going to be sharing the grid, I think quite logically, with the MG Cockshoot Cup. So it's a grid full of MGs of all shapes and sizes. So you have some fun racing against cars of your own kind, effectively, now, rather than last year when you had some fun with the Classic BW cars on the same grid. So how fun is that going to be, having not just Metros around, but of course you're going to have MGZRs, MGFs, MGBs. It's going to be quite an adventure out there with a grid full of different MG models. Yeah,
it's going to be quite interesting. I think we're going to have like split grids too, so and half the grid of theirs will be slower than us, and half our grid will be slower than their half of the grid. So yeah, it's going to be quite interesting. As soon as we start catching up to the back of them, or they start catching up to the back of us, there's going to be a lot of action, I think. So be trying to keep it clean and trying to get to the end. And, yeah, just have some fun, really.
And of course, you've got a title to defend as well, so don't forget that either.
Oh, we'll give that a good go.
If anything like you have been in the past, I'm sure you'll. I don't want to say you'll walk it because you have done in the past, but I know the competition. Typically, I don't know how much insight you've got in who's doing what this year in Metros, but I'm sure that if they try and give you a good run, you'll give them a good run for their money as well. So, fingers crossed, you get a good run there, and it's a good season for you. But thanks for competing in the championship, and well done on wherever you finish. I'm certain you'll be somewhere around the top 3 from the results you got tonight. But great effort, and best of luck for whatever happens in Metros, and fingers crossed from Alton onwards, it's a good year for you. So thanks for competing, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you very much, Scott. Cheers.
Good stuff. Right, thanks for that from Jack. Right, I think it's only fair before we let our main series manager, Will, have the last word. Let's bring in a new provisional champion, shall we? Matt Kendall, who took race victory in race number 1, added to his tally throughout the season. But despite keeping it calm and cool the rest of the evening, he managed to get the job done. So we can officially say, at least provisionally, we have to say, Matt Kendall, 2026 BRSCC Clapham North Winter eSports Series champion. How's that feel?
Well, it's not bad. It's taken a little while. I've been second a few times. So, yeah, it's pretty nice.
You definitely earned it pretty well throughout the season. You took victories where you needed to. I think that's 7 for the season that you took throughout. Of course, you took 2 at Snetterton, 2 at Alton Park, 2 at Campbell Park, and then 1 tonight at Brands. And alongside that, for the most part, your results were pretty consistent as they needed to be to try and put on a title charge. Tonight looked like it was the most kind of possibly the toughest of a lot, given that you were right in the mix. Just talk us through how those first 2 races in particular played out, knowing that you probably had that on your mind in some cases, but you just had to try and keep out of trouble to try and get the job done.
Well, race 1, I saw the chance to win the race there. I saw Jack's tyres go off, and I thought, well, it doesn't hurt to win a race when you're in that position, so I took the chance. And the second race, Jack wanted it a lot more than I did in that scenario, so I decided it wasn't necessary to risk anything, and it was much the same in race 3. I don't get on very well with brands in the Mazda. I've bottled a couple of races here in these conditions, so I just thought, yeah, I'm just going to sit here. I just need to not end up in a wall and I'll be fine. So yeah, that was essentially where I was coming from.
It certainly helps to stay out of the wall, doesn't it? Particularly in real or sim racing on that side. But one thing I've noticed throughout the season with you, Matt, which I saw was a bit of a theme throughout the year, is that when it comes to race 3, you seem to have a bit of a tendency to struggle a bit to come through the pack. That's not, of course, not at all on pace whatsoever. But Is that just because you find yourself in the pack and unable to pick your way through because it is a reverse grid top 10, or is there something else that kind of you think, aside from finish you had at Donington, that kind of just sees you a bit stuck in the pack when it comes to those reverse grid top 10s? What do you think it is?
I mean, everyone's stuck in a train in general, and you have to be hyper aggressive. And most of the time, if you're racing for a championship, being hyper aggressive in a race where you just need to score points if you've already won the first 2 races is not really going to help you. So I tend to just chill out and see what happens. And then, like Donington, if it comes to me, then I'll be hyper aggressive when I need to be to get the result. But if the result I need isn't going to come by being hyper aggressive, then I won't do it, because it's unnecessary risk at that point. It's just got to do the old Fangio trick. You never go faster than is necessary to win, and a lot of the time it's that, unless it's Cadwell, in which case I got stuck behind Tom for about 14 laps and got very frustrated. Apart from that, yeah, it's just a case of calling the jets and seeing what happens.
And another phrase that I picked up from hearing from somebody else that I've said so many times, it's the races that you don't win that win you the championship. You can maximise the scores that you can get when you're not on the top step. That's what can make the biggest difference. You said that you've chased winning this championship for the last few seasons. You've now managed it. Esports or real, winning a title is still special enough for anyone that does it. So what does it mean to you to become champion in this series that over the last few seasons since it started has just become more and more and more competitive as the years have gone on?
Well, this series taught me how to sim race, essentially, and it's done a lot for me, so it feels pretty special. This year's been very tight in terms of speed. There's been a lot of quick guys, so it's been good to assert myself in race 1 and 2 and qualifying in general. And yeah, the development that this series has given me is immense. Where I started in the first season compared to where I am now, it's quite a jump. So I owe it quite a lot.
Of course, that's esports antics, at least for the BRSCC side, completed. In terms of real world, of course, we know that you typically are a runner that competes in the W Super Cup and the Compact Cup class. Am I right to presume you're going to be back there this season, or are you thinking about other different plans or something else, or weighing up what's happening for 2026?
Well, we just bought a very lovely new car for Compacts because the old one was very busted. So yeah, 100% doing Super Cup again, and we'll try and be a bit better than 6th this time, hopefully.
That's a bit of a warning shot to anybody else with a brand new car and confidence in winning the esports series. Then I think people should watch out, shouldn't they?
Well, I hope so. I hope they've got something to watch out for. We'll see, but I certainly hope so.
Crossed. Well, listen, Matt, you've been a fantastic supporter of the series ever since it began, of course, but you're not just driving in it, but the background help you've done with Will, who we'll speak to in a second. But for all the hard work you've put in with it, of course, and the genuine speed you've shown, I think it's no surprise that it means a lot to win the series. So at least I'll be one of the first ones to give you the congratulations. Congratulations. Provisionally, we have to say it, of course, because once Will figures out all the points in the end and confirms it. But provisionally, at least, 2026 BRSCC Clapham North Winter Esports Series champion Matt Kendall. Biggest congratulations, and fingers crossed you can keep this form going on with the new car. Takes you into hopefully a very successful BMW Super Cup campaign. So we'll see you down the road, and thanks again for racing, and well done, well driven.
Thank you very much.
Good job, well done, Matt. And I think it's only right we give the final word to the man who in the background looks after all this and manages it from his own side. He's been involved in these series since the start, and that's Will Blackwell Chambers, so we'll bring him in once again. And came close to winning the final race of the season to wrap things up as well. But first of all, Will, another esports series complete and done. Of course, I think we can say race 2 was a tiny bit questionable, with people getting a bit overexcited, maybe last day of school vibes, I think, for some drivers. But at a side, which you might have fun to look through in some of the post-race footage, at a side, another esports series is done. And I think it's safe to say, as I've spoken to our new provisional champion, Matt, the quality's gone up from strength to strength pace-wise. I think this year has been certainly the strongest yet, and it certainly has been a success story from start to finish. Would you agree?
No, we've had really strong grids all year. I mean, this is the final round, and we're still, over 20 cars. It's been good to be back in the Mazda. I think it's probably brought some good racing back. But yeah, it's been a challenging year. As you've probably seen, I've slipped down the grid a bit as a lot of new fast drivers have come in. But it's still been really good fun. As you say, driving standards are sometimes questionable. But on the whole, not too bad. The stewarding system's been pretty good this year. Yeah, just overall fairly successful, I think.
It really has been. Of course, the addition to, of course, the wet weather elements with the Mazda has been pretty key as well. Before we could talk about anything else with the season, talk to you about your night. Of course, you were in the mix with the front runners all the way through. I felt like you were giving, at times where he needed it, Matt a bit of rig and support so he could get the job done over the line. But race number 3 was really where you pushed on and had the lead at one point before Jack picked it off, and you got very sideways on the exit of Westfield on the last lap, trying to push and regain that back. So it looked as though up and down the top 5, you also having a bit of an eventful time trying to keep yourself in the mix.
Yeah, I mean, Brandon's one of my favourite circuits. I've luckily got a little bit more pace here than maybe I do in other places. But yeah, it was nice to be kicking around the front. It wasn't that chaotic, which was quite nice. But as you say, got a little bit sideways in the wet, caught a puddle. Managed to hold it, but that killed all the attempts on the last lap. Had a look into the final corner. Could have maybe been a bit more aggressive with it, but again, when you're series organizer, there's always that thing in the back of your mind that you don't really want to go around nerfing people off, so you just got to take a little bit of caution with it. But no, I'm happy. Best results of the season, fun way to end it, and yeah, pretty happy.
Of course, looking to the future of iRacing, of course, will keep on developing and keep on growing as it does. But of course, this has been the 4th or 5th season that this championship has done. So it just shows the evolution from where it started being a multi-year championship, when it was going across 2 years, to being more of just one bit. It's still proven another great platform, not just for club level esports on top of that, but again, it's been a great platform for numerous drivers who either are regular BRSCC runners or future ones, or people who've done it in the past or associated with the club, to be able to race all together on one grid in this particular fashion, when, as we've talked about before several times, the fact that some of these drivers will usually be in the same paddock as each other but not the same championship, and never end up racing against each other unless they do a multi-class series like Club Sport or Super Sport Endurance. The fact that this series brings together so many different BRSCC drivers from the same paddock to race against each other, it's almost like a bit of a, in a way, something of like a BRSCC All-Stars type series, in terms you get drivers from all different series go up against one another to see exactly who out of them, arguably, which one is the best of the best.
And if you look down the list of names against sort of the BRSCC champions of last year, for example, I'm the Super Cup champion. I think we've got a Honda Civic champion from one of the other series. You've got XC1 champions. I remember I was at the awards do a couple of years ago, and you saw people going up for their various series trophies, and like, oh, they're doing esports. Oh, and that one, and that one. And you realise that, you know, the top 10 of this grid, at least half of them have won BRSCC championships. So as much as, you know, the quick guys IRL do carry it over to the sim, and it's, if you're near the front of this, you'll be near the front of real life racing as well.
Certainly hope so. Of course, we've spoken to both Jack and Matt as well. Of course, they've said that their plans, of course, are in place for Jack back in the Metros. Of course, they're showing the group of the Cockshoot Cup, and Matt's just bought a brand new compact that puts with the Super Cup. For those who know you, we know your plans for this year, because you're moving away from Mazda to something a little more long distance, but very exciting. And of course, even yesterday, you were on track in one of the first few times proper with everyone else together that's competing. The Fun Cup Endurance Championship, of course, you're competing with Rob Boster Racing in a 2-car team. You've got some very strong drivers in that field. I've even said publicly on one of the Facebook posts, if one of your cars doesn't win a race this season with the lineups you've got, I'll be very, very surprised. Just quickly talk to us about it. You must be excited. New challenge for you, of course, being long distance racing now, and of course the fact you've got a great team around you in Rob Boston Racing still. You've got some great drivers in the mixes with you in that field. That looks like it's going to be a really exciting adventure, and one that you're going to really cherish from the outset.
Yeah, as you said, been doing Mazdas for a really long time now. I think it's 13, 14 years. So I'm really looking forward to this new challenge, you know, with the team. It's great to actually have some teammates on board, so that's been really fun. Had sort of met them for the first time yesterday and started working together, going over data, seeing where everyone's sort of stronger and weaker, and helping build everyone up has been really positive. So yeah, looking forward to the challenge that certainly brings this season, and yeah, hopefully we can bring the car home, at least nearer the front of the grid, if not at the front of the grid for some of the rounds.
Typically, in knowing Rob Boston in terms of how he performs things, typically what I found is any series or any car he turns his hands to, he never usually makes it a slow one. It's usually quite a fast car, whichever he turns his hand to, that he engineers in some case, whether it's GC car or a Lotus that competes at Race Remembrance often, or anything else, a Mazda MX-5 Cup car. He usually has that magic touch of making any kind of race car particularly quite quick and race winning at least. So I think you should be in safe hands, given that you've been a two-time champion alongside him for the most part in that sense. Final word on the entire series, of course, on Matt. Of course, your teammate as champion, and on top of that, everything else. It's been a very successful season once again. Lots of different great drivers. So I want you to have the floor to say your bit in terms of saying thanks for your final thoughts on the championship, and just we'll see ahead to what we have this time, hopefully next year, and on to a new season.
Yes, I guess obviously, Scott, firstly, thank you very much for doing all your commentary this year, as ever, fantastic, and also thank you to Apex Racing TV for broadcasting this, brilliant job. Hopefully looking forward to working with both of you again next year if you're available. As ever, Matt does a huge amount behind the scenes that he doesn't get credit for. So, you know, technically I organise the series, but Matt does easily as much as I do. So massive thanks to Matt, and also our second steward, Jack Noller, for when he's jumped on and got involved in the various incidents and bits and pieces where we need an extra set of eyes on that. But no, and again, thanks to the BRSCC for giving us this opportunity to run this series. We couldn't do it without them. The BRSCC name definitely drags people to this series. So it's been a good year, it's been really fun, and hopefully see you all on track next year.
I'm sure you will. Well, once again, your contribution, and of course you've been the main kind of steward of it all since I've known we've started this as well in the past, and I might have moved on from BRSCC, but of course still being a part of it is something I'm very sort of proud and privileged to be a part of as well, and always look forward to it. But for your work and for Matt's work and everybody else's work again, and everyone else involved in the side of it, whilst I've just been the commentator this time, again, thank you very much. Lots of hard work put in place, and I know that of course wherever people are racing this year, for real, and hopefully yourself and Matt and everyone else now suitably warmed up, ready to go for 2026. So I know I'll see you throughout the season in terms of talking and communicating, but at least for the time being, thanks again for being at the stewardship of this series once again, and the very best of luck. I'll be keeping rooting for you, in particular the efforts in Final Cup, and fingers crossed you can come home with some silverware at some point. But Will, once again, thank you very much. Congrats for another good night of taking some good results, and we will see you at some point on track in 2026. Thank you very much.
Cheers, mate.
So that is it then. That is another BRSCC Winter Esports Series wrapped up and completed. Once again, thanks to all Blackwood Chambers, to Matt Kendall, to Jack Noller, to everyone else who's been involved, to Apex Racing TV, to Clapham North and George Grant for supporting it, for BRSCC for putting it on together, and for all of you for watching and supporting as well. If you are a competitor in this series and you are racing in real life, the very best of luck for whatever you're racing in this year as well. If you're someone who wants to get involved in this, you have to be a BRSCC member, so keep it in mind for next year. And when the new series comes about for 2027, be sure to keep an eye on BRSCC.co.uk and their socials for all the information on how to get involved. One final time for the eSports series, I've been Scott Woodwis, Aidan Howard on production. Thanks to him once again for his efforts, and we'll see you on track for real when the BRSCC season gets underway on the 11th of April, both here at Brands Hatch on that weekend on the Indy circuit, and also concurrently on the Alton Park International Circuit on the 11th of April too. The first 2 race meetings of the season. For more information, go to brcc.co.uk and go to the race calendar for all the details. But until then, take care, enjoy the rest of the season, have a great 2026, and we'll see you for more next time in this series in 2027. Thank you very much, and goodbye.